Well, they're in, fellas. I'm 3 right, 1 down in the colour grid and 3 notches down in darkness because the sun is out. We've got a rather sunny day. Probably going to go out swamp hunting tomorrow, I don't know. Depends. It's supposed to be raining. It's supposed to be raining today, tomorrow, the next day. So, you know, talk about the ABC weather symbols, getting it so right. Yeah, I know. Most people, what they don't explain about multifactorial experiments is each replicate has a built-in control, basically. So overall, you have n-1 controls. So like this one over here, I've got one on the bench up there. The only difference is the one on the bench has 1/3 newspaper cellulose. This one doesn't, sort of thing. So the difference is the difference in 1/3 newspaper cellulose. So yeah, I'll just put them in there. They've got a little baby one in there. So we'll see if it responds similarly to the one out there that has the newspaper cellulose in it. And similarly with this one over here. Another one on the bench out there. The only difference is I've got the formula in with the newspaper cellulose on the top of the pot, sort of, basically. So it's out there. So between those, you've got 2 basically controls against not having the newspaper cellulose there, sort of thing. So we can see any difference. So whether it will respond or not, I don't know. And I've got others in here for which I don't have any newspaper controls out on the bench there, but I can always make one up, you see. That's the beauty of this system. I've got ones over here. But these ones here, we've got between that one, and that one, they've all got sort of built-in semi-controls between them. So depending on which one, you know, peaks, I can sort of roughly work out what's going on and then compare it with the data I'm getting back from these compared to the ones on the benches and so on and so forth. As I said, with this one we've already worked out it's 2-acid, basically, because that's the only difference between all these other different things. It's 2-acid. And I'll put this one in here. Now this will be interesting to compare with the one that's on the bench out there that just has coir on the top and has the sand and the newspaper cellulose sand down on the bottom, sort of thing. So this one has the granulated newspaper cellulose all the way through, but there's no sand in this one, you see. So we can gauge a few ideas what's going on. But the important factor is reproducibility. You can always do these things again and again. You can also always do new experiments, you know. I mean, they always respect Darwin because he did, I think it's over 800 Drosophila rotundifolia. I think for some reason the number 843 is whizzing through my head. I don't know if that's just my memory or I'm just making it up, but for some reason 843 is going through my head like alarm bells. So did he actually use 843 Drosophila rotundifolia, you know, plants for his experiments? So we accept that, you know, as verbatim, basically, because he used so many plants. You don't need a control when you have a very large sample size, basically, because you're actually basically drawing the bell-shaped curve yourself by using so many. You're using like a cut-down version of the graph of the bell-shaped curve, basically. Your sample size is so large, it's almost becoming a total photocopy of the population itself, basically. So if I'm understanding the statistics correctly, that's the way it works. But anyway, this one in here, it's slowly taking off from this one. So does seem to be a difference between whether you put the newspaper cellulose, you know, throughout the medium or you put it in chunks. It's slow to take off, but it may be different over time. But we'll note that. But anyway. But that's the important subtle point. They never really emphasise with multifactorial experiments. Every replicate is in itself has its own built-in control with another replicate out there somewhere in the grid. There's another one. So there's only one factor difference between that one and some other pot or replicate in the grid. So basically it's a built-in control. In other words, you can have, you know, multiple or hundreds or thousands, depending on how big your grid is, controls built in. So the larger your grid is, the greater is your number of built-in controls, and also you can always find something in the grid to work out, oh, is it this or is it that factor? And you know there's another control somewhere in the grid, if you've done it properly, that can tell you yes or no whether your supposition is got any merit or not. You know, you can say, okay, is it this or is it that? You know that somewhere in the grid there's another control with that factor you're worrying about, and if you set it up correctly. So yeah, anyway, this one is very colourful. If I put it, when the sun was on it, if I put it into the sun or move the pot around without breaking it, which is the worst thing to do is to break the pot, but I don't know if you can see this, but look how colourful this one is becoming, and it's like almost becoming colourful within a matter of days. So you know, that's very tentative to imply there's some sort of biological factor suddenly got into the plant or triggered off in the plant. It's just too quick, you know what I mean? It hasn't been like a gradual thing. You can see the colour, the intensity building up in there. It's just either there's something in the soil it's suddenly been able to absorb, or there's something that's attached to the root, something that's got into the plant and suddenly, it's had a missing element or something. Now that element's got in there, it can actually do its thing, and so on and so forth. Maybe that's why they're carnivorous. There's an element in the insects that's not in the soil. Of course, you've got to ask yourself the question, where does the insect get the element from? Does it get from, is it a carrion fly? It gets the element by eating the meat of an animal, and the animal gets it through its life cycle. Very complicated, I know. Especially if it turns out to be a rare earth element, you're really scratching your head, how the heck did that rare earth element get into the plant via the insect from an animal, blah, 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 all the way down the chain. But that's what science is all about. Anyway, so I'm just going to try and get the camera in there. I think I'm still on spot colour, but you notice the colour of the trash has changed so quickly, and it's in comparison with the actual top of the pot, almost creating this confident lawn. The other thing I didn't say the other day was wherever there's a leaf that's been on the ground for a while, you get this like sagey green. So you see the difference in the colour there. But if I turn this around, maybe I'll try and get the camera in. See, you can actually see the photo representation of where the leaf was on the ground there. It was almost like a nuclear shadow. Like the sun was there yesterday, the bomb went off and they're not there now, and all you've got is this like nuclear shadow sort of thing. I know it's a bad comparison to make, especially for our Japanese friends there over in the dental centre. But what else do you call it? I mean, I don't have any other sort of way of actually basically drawing your attention to it. So it seems like whenever these leaves are sat on the ground, and another thing like this, where the label's been in the past, there's just a blank space. So does that mean there's something in these labels, there's some sort of plasticizer that's inhibiting the growth of this organism across the surface? Or is it just, if they don't get the sunlight in the first, they just can't take off? We do know it does just slowly make it across the surface eventually, but it's so slow compared to how quickly this takes off. So makes you wonder if there is some sort of plasticizer in these labels, which is why they last so long, and it's inhibitory to, well, at least to the organism that we're trying to get on the lawn. Anyway, these are still going. They seem to be making a move now. So so we have to keep ourselves sort of. I'll put some of these in, as I said I was going to. As you can probably see, I've put some in there. I don't know, they're not the best of plants, and it might actually be a negative. I've had a bit of bird activity in there, so I don't know what they're getting their rocks off. I don't know if they're tits, finches, or flying foxes, or or bitches. I don't know, but geez, they're making a mess of some of my pots. Anyway, I think that was further around, wasn't it? Yeah, it's around about there. Yeah. Okay. But some of these traps are becoming somewhat colourful, so there's something else going on. But as I said, this was a relative control to the other one, and then same with that one. There's another control down the other back that just has no newspaper cellulose in it. This one here, I've set it up with water to compare with the deep one that I don't actually sit in water. Whether we need to actually water or not, I don't know. You know, it's easier to, well, it's much easier to sit something in water. But I've also had this thing here, a little bit that fell off or something early when I was potting them up. I put it in there. Normally, that's it. You never see it again. This is actually taken, which is quite amazing. Which says something about this sort of soil. It's got properties beyond its basic application. You can actually put a little bit of a material in there, and it doesn't die off, and it can callus, form roots, whatever itself. So you know, so that's an advantage, I suppose. Not only does it seem to grow the plants, but it also can actually be able to grow cuttings and things like that. So I'll see if I can get. I'm on spot culling, but hopefully with the 3 right, 1 down, you're getting absolutely true to life colour. Though I might want to try 3 across, 1 up. I don't know, but I thought I got that impression. It was a little bit yellowy. It wasn't true to life, but it's still got this funny thing in there. I thought it was something that fell off the tree, but it's still there. It looks like a callus, but it's now gone from its orangey red colour to back to a sort of orangey colour. It might go brown, I don't know. So it'd be interesting if we can work out what that is. I don't know, but anyway, I'll go back to normal area, I think. Anyway, so that's about it. As I said, we had this one pulled out yesterday, so that, you know, maybe I should put that in that. That might save it, but this one's slowly taking off. We've had problems with this. Looks like we had another caterpillar attack on there. We've had bird strike in here. I still like this, here I go, the spot colour. I still like this flower, it's quite nice. I would like to have more pictures coming up on it. So yeah, it's nice, but just having a misshapen original one and that's really misshapen. Ah, now there we go. I think we've got our bloody moth or whatever it is in there. The one that's doing this stuff on here, I think, is in there. So, not very good. I may have to remove that picture. Unfortunately, I don't know. Anyway, still small, nice, but not really doing much. So, yeah. But it's good to note that the insect that was in there is gone and it's ready to trap again. Yeah, and this thing in here, see if I can find it. Oh, it's sort of, but geez, it's so small in here. So maybe I'd have to say that charcoal on the surface seems to be a negative. For size anyway, so if I can get in there. That definitely seems to be a negative for size, so maybe that's what's wrong with this. Oh, this one here, putting out of the leaf here, the colour seems to be coming back to what it was, but geez, it's like 1/4 the size it was last year. Oh, very strange fellas. And this, I mean, what is this? It's just a short leuco. I mean, it just seems like it's going to be like a little tiddly pop leuco. Is that all it's going to do? You know, I mean, it's like the smallest leuco I've ever seen in my life, I think. I mean, it doesn't seem to have the guts, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just residual hormones or something from their tissue culture program. I don't know, fellas, but it just seems to me to be a bit sort of, yeah. And then there's another one here. It also seems to be short too. I mean, is that all you're going to get? I mean, it's not worth it having a leuca that size. So what's this? Is this minimissima leucoviola, is it? Okay. And I'm still flowering their bloody heads off here. Still gaily trying to pollinate the damn things. See if we can actually get any seed. Well, it would be nice to get some seed anyway. So, yeah. Anyway. As I said, we had this thing pulled out and a few beaks pecking down in there, and we noticed that the sand underneath was very sagey underneath down. So you have this light greening on the top, but down below it's quite dark and sagey green sort of thing. So yeah. Anyway, I know something odd about here, but hopefully with the other pots out the back there, we're going to pick up whatever it is that's going on with the coir sort of thing. So hopefully we might get better growth, I don't know. Might get worse growth. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Yaying and naying, but Yeah, this one here. Have you noticed how long, how long that leaf is coming off that petiole there? I don't know if I can move the pot around or something. You know, can you see that, fellas? You know, get the camera down with it. Oh, Jesus. Can you see that? It's just weird. That is, it's so big. I mean, if I'd seen that 40 years ago, I would have been impressed, but it's just, to me, a bit weird now. And one's over here, so we'll see how we go. As I said, it's supposed to be raining today. It's supposed to be raining tomorrow and Friday and into Saturday. So much for the ABC weather symbols. Oh, you got it so right today. ABC weather symbols, right on the money most of the time. I don't think they're ever right these days. As I said, I think what 3 or 4 years ago when they fired those 300 people, I reckon they must have fired the person who actually does the ABC weather symbol. And I think today they just look out the window and they get it wrong every time. Yeah, it's all like, you know, what would it look like when I put my head out the window tomorrow, the next day, and the next day? You know, they're just guessing basically. I think that's what it is. It's just a load of bullshit. You can't, as I said, you can't plan it. Like last year when I went out to the heading Nostris to the Onk, I was actually intending to go the very next day because they said that was when it was going to be sunny. And I just had to just go out the door and go because the weather symbols are just that bad. So all that lovely sunny footage you get in that heading Nostris to the Onk video clips that are up on my channel, you take a look at those. That was supposed to be a dull, overcast, maybe a bit of a drizzly day. I mean, as I said, some of these ABC weather symbol people needed to be taken out, put up against the wall and shot in the ballsack because we basically want to see. I mean, you're getting this sort of stuff wrong. I don't mind, you know, getting a little bit wrong, but getting it this wrong. I mean, where's the rain, fellas? Just show me some rain. You said it was going to be raining today, Thursday, Friday, and maybe into Saturday. Don't give me this bullshit. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we're so fed up in this country with this sort of Tony Abbott bullshit, you know. Oh, talking the country down for nearly 10 years. Oh, I mean, it's just bullshit, you know. Anyway, it'd be nice to get an email from the bloke who was actually fired from the ABC saying, oh, I totally commiserate with you. I mean, they've just been making up for the last 3 years since I haven't been there. Is that what he's going to say? You know, I said they don't even look out the window. Well, they just look at the blank wall, and the weather today is going to be, and they just guess. You know, they just look at the blank cement brick wall or something and just say, oh, I think it's going to be wet tomorrow. I don't know, it's just, to me it just seems like a load of bullshit, but I haven't been right for at least 3 years, going 4 years now I suppose, and apparently they're firing another 300 or something apparently, so we get Late Line's not going to be on next year. I mean, really, seriously, I think we're getting into almost... yeah, there's going to be outbreaks on the streets soon. I think, you know, things don't improve fairly shortly. We're going to be, precariously, vicariously sliding towards French Revolution territory. I think. I mean, you got to remember in this country we basically only have 2 seasons, and if something goes off during the hot time of the year, we'll just forgive them because we'll say, well, we do go a bit chopper over summer, you know, we all know that, we all understand that. If it happens over summer, it's anyone's fair game, I think, basically what we're going to say. If these politicians are just dragged out of the parliament and put up the